Welcome to another episode of Purchase to Profits. I'm Seth Ferguson. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss our daily interviews with successful real estate investors. Our guest today is a former special ops pilot who has flipped 15 properties and owns about 50 doors in 3 different states. Jeremy Porto is the founder of Blue Ridge Investment Partners. Jeremy, welcome to Purchase to Profits. It's great to have you on the show.
Thanks, Seth. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, really looking forward to this. So let's start off with talking about your real estate goals. Where are you looking to take your business now?
Yeah, it's all about the passive income. Isn't that the case with everybody, right? So I'm kind of in 2 directions with that. One, small multifamily, specifically like Four Plexus. They're easy to do. I've been doing it for a while. I kind of have it, down to a science. And then more importantly, for my own personal satisfaction, bigger syndication deals, 100 plus units like that. So if I could give you one piece of my goal, it's that I want to do 100 unit syndication. I've been taking a little advice from Hal Elrod and trying to take the T off that SMART goal, kind of remove that timetable so it's not as daunting of a task, right? So initially I had given myself a timeline, and although I am a general partner on a deal, I didn't do the work. I wasn't the real syndicator in it. I had a smaller role. Plus, the market the way it is, I think maybe it's smarter not to put a real tight timetable on that. Maybe it's smarter to, get that right deal and not feel like I'm forced to get into something just to, meet that timetable. So,
Yeah.
A little long-winded of an answer, but ultimately passive income and through 2 routes.
Yeah. Oh no, that's a totally legit answer. It definitely makes a lot of sense. And so, at what point did you decide? Because you're rocking it with the Four Plexus. At what point did you start exploring some bigger opportunities?
Yeah, this was about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, maybe. And before we started recording, you and I were talking about Adam Adams.
Yeah.
Great guy. He was reaching out to me on Facebook and mentioning multifamily, and I couldn't see like why that was necessarily better. That I was looking at the returns that I was getting in my Four Plexes, which I look back at now, and they are very good returns, but I have the potential to do even better, in a large syndication. The scale that it brings, it makes it more worth it, with less effort involved. So about a year and a half ago, had a 15-minute conversation with Adam on the phone. From that, it turned into several lunch appointments and, going to all his events and everything. And, he's really the one that turned me on to it, and I started to see the light. So yeah, I'd say about a year and a half ago.
Yeah. And do you think you'll end up, selling off the Four Plexus and just moving over strictly to the larger multifamily?
Oh man. So, when you make decisions, you can go with your rational brain, and then you can go with like, how your heart feels and what, I don't want to do that. So I had a number of single families and Four Plexes, and I got to the point where I was like, oh, these single families, these are silly. Why am I doing this? I sold off on my single families, and so I've got Four Plexes now. So will I eventually sell those off? God, the rational part of my brain says yes, and put that into big multifamily, but the my heart is like, I really like these deals, like they're in locations that I spent some time in and kind of have fond memories, and that's not my personality really to do that, but I don't know. So I don't know the answer to that. I really don't. I think, as I have done with most of my real estate investing, when I see a deal that I want to get involved in, I look at everything that I have and say, okay, well, if I can't get into it right now with what I've got, can I sell something and make it happen? And is there, if I sell this, what's the opportunity, compare those two? What's better, the one that I'm looking at or the one I've got?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know.
That's why I asked you, because that's a tough question. You like cutting the cord is a tough thing to do.
Yeah. I mean, it's still multifamily. It's 4 units. I mean, it's anything less than that, I would say definitely that I would get rid of. But there is a little bit of benefit to the small stuff. I mean, it's super easy to get into. The financing piece of it's a lot easier. 30-year amortization is great. You can get that in other stuff too, but just kind of depends on the market and the deal itself. But you're guaranteed a 30-year amortization, a 30-year term. That's hard to beat. And I find that, so I'm doing a lot of direct mail. I'm finding that a lot of the owners of Four Plexes, it's just kind of that disconnect between, is this valued based on comps, or is this valued based on the income approach?
Yeah.
Big multifamily is obviously the income approach, but there are still people that are holding on to the idea that the fourplex next door sold for this. So if they're willing to do that, and that means that I know that I've got some value there, well, then I'll buy it from them at that comp price,
Mm-hmm.
and instantly have equity in the deal, if you will.
Yeah. And so you got interested in real estate when you were nursing an injury. Is that right?
Yeah. So I went to pilot training in the Air Force, and I don't know, it was about halfway through. I was playing soccer and I tore my Achilles tendon, and for about 6 months I was recovering from that, and so obviously not doing anything pilot training related. They just sent me home because there was really nothing I could do at a pilot training base with no training. I'm just a brand new second lieutenant. So I was reading a lot of books on real estate, and at that time there was all the like This Old House and Home Time. My God, those were many years ago. That's what was on the TV, and I kind of always liked those shows anyways, and I that's really how it started, and then it just snowballed from there.
Yeah. So, like, what was it that because so many people, will say they want to get into real estate. They'll ask me questions. I'm sure they ask you questions, but then a year or two later, you follow up and they still haven't done anything. So, what made you actually take the plunge and take action?
I hate this answer because it's not something that you can like teach or give, but I just had an inborn passion for it. Like, I enjoyed it. The numbers piece of it kind of feeds my rational brain, and the kind of creativity. I was doing some flipping back then too. The creativity involved in renovating a home and solving problems. That there was also a piece of me that enjoyed that as well. So I just thoroughly enjoyed it, and to boot, it pays pretty well too.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of why I got into it and got started. And then, once you, everybody has said this a million times, when you get your first deal done, it just snowballs from there, and it's so much easier to keep going. So if those guys and gals out there are saying they want to do it and they don't do it, they just get one done, I feel pretty certain that they will probably continue on, unless they just don't like it.
Yeah. And I even say it doesn't matter if it's a mediocre deal. That the whole thing, everything that matters is you actually did a deal. Like, everybody's first one is not going to be their best deal. I've never met anybody who will brag about their first one for the best returns or anything like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That funny you say that though. It took me a couple years to break the record on my first deal.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah.
no, I'm with you. Yeah, as long as it's a safe investment. I wouldn't go into something that is super low cash flow, in especially in a time like this, or planning on making $1,000 on a flip. But I'm totally with you. It doesn't have to be a home run right out of the gate. You get one done, and that'll open up your eyes to actually see the other opportunities that are out there that are the home runs.
Yeah, for sure. And right now you're hovering around 50 units. Did you hit any plateaus as you were growing to that size?
Yes. I kind of had this. So I was buying a lot of fourplexes, and wanting to get into the syndication. After that conversation with Adam, into the bigger stuff, and I just couldn't really get there. Like, I just didn't feel like I was making any progress. And I think at the end of the day, the real answer was I wasn't really holding myself accountable to the things that I said I would do. Go talk to brokers, go underwrite however many deals per day or week or month.
Yeah.
And I just wasn't doing it. I was getting caught up in the small stuff, checking my emails and making sure my inbox is clear, because I'm a opposite of a procrastinator. I have to get stuff done when I see it. It drives me insane if I have a to-do list that's very long at all.
Yeah.
And I was just busy. It is busy work, right? It's not productive work necessarily. It was busy. I was very busy, but I wasn't necessarily productive. And when I kind of got to that realization, I think it kicked my butt in gear a little bit, and started making those phone calls and started underwriting those deals on a more regular basis. And of course, this week in particular, I'm actually not doing so great on those, but the next week I'll pick it back up again and keep going.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I'll give you a pass this week because you've been preparing for this interview.
Yes.
So it takes a lot of work.
Yes. Oh man, I had that quiz that you sent me, and you said I had to listen to every episode you had.
That's at least 40 hours right there.
Nice.
And so besides just making sure you're doing the right activities every day, do you have any other routines or rituals that have helped make you successful thus far?
Might seem a little counterintuitive, but I really like the fact that I'm trying very hard to cut my day at a certain time. My wife grabs one of our kids from daycare. I grab the other kid from the other daycare, and then we get home. I cook. We hang out. All that. I try very hard, and it was hard at first, but I'm getting better at it to cut the day. And what that does is, why do we do this in the first place? We're doing it so that we can have the time with our families. So just like everybody else, I'm finding myself like wanting to work, from the time I wake up to the time I go to bed. But that's, not necessarily the right answer. That work-life balance is important. So getting the time with them, feeling recharged means I come back the next day ready to go, strong again. No matter how much you love something, doing it from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed, you're not going to be at your best. So it's cutting the day off at the end when it's time to be with the family. I think that's been a big success.
Yeah, no, 100%. I like that. I'm guilty of that too. Like I'll be going until 11:30 at night, sometimes midnight. So
yeah.
I got to take a page out of your book.
Yeah, and it's not easy because there's other people out there that expect you to answer something, even if it's 8:00 at night or whatever. I send some direct mail and I get phone calls at 8:00, especially because I'm on the East Coast and some, I'm sending to like Colorado. That's mountain time. That's 2 hours. So, 6:00 my time when I'm cooking and having dinner with the family is 4:00. They maybe just off of work or whatever. They got their mail and they call me. And so, it's not always easy to really draw that line.
Yeah.
As with anything, I have good days and bad days.
Yeah, no, for sure. And so what would you say is the number one challenge that you have right now in your business?
Focus is probably my number one challenge. I kind of told you I have two paths. I initially, to the passive income, I initially wanted to just cut out all the fourplex stuff and just focus on syndication. I think I've kind of come to reason, maybe to the idea that maybe that's not right. And so really trying to either pick one or two or three or whatever it is, just pick, okay, what am I doing? I have bounced around quite a bit. I'll see the value in one thing and I'll head that way, and then I'll see the value in the other thing. Just as an example, these fourplexes. So what I'm doing right now, so I'm marketing for the mail, through mail for the fourplexes, and I'll cherry pick. The ones that are great, I'll keep in my portfolio. The ones that are not, I'll sell. Right now, a lot of it's selling because I know I can flip it and make a flip profit on it, which is fine, but that's not what we're after, right? That's very active. It's not passive, and it doesn't add to my passive income. I can still make a deal out of it. So, I'm making a lot of money actually on those flips, but they're terrible deals to hold on to. So I got away from that, and now I'm coming back and saying, no, I need to keep this for as long as it's gonna go, and when it dries up, then fine, then I'll let it go. But so now I'm kind of doing both. So definitely focus is my challenge, and I struggle with that daily, I think.
Yeah. So what do you have to change then in order to get the focus that?
The market, let these fourplexes dry up so that I don't not interested in them anymore. I need to get, once I get farther, I think in the syndication business, once I get that first step in there, I think that'll be the real ability. It'll give me the ability to really step past the fourplexes and just focus on it. And then I also maybe it's okay. Maybe it's okay to do these two things. Maybe I don't need to just pick one or the other. Maybe I can do them both. I'm sure a lot of people would say no, but there's also a piece of me that really enjoys this fourplex stuff, and so I also don't want to give that up either. Why would I enter this business and maybe do all the pieces that I don't necessarily like as much? I mean, we all have passive income to do what we want, so maybe if it's not the best use of my time, maybe that's okay because I like it a lot.
Yeah, no, I like that. So is there a deal that stands out as the Keystone deal that made a big impact on you and your business?
Yeah, I would. A couple years ago, I bought. If this was in the Florida Panhandle, I was actually just getting started deeper into the fourplexes. I bought a fourplex off the MLS. It was awesome. There was like 13 offers on it. I paid like $15,000 over the asking price. It was vacant, completely just run down. This was in when I was doing more flipping, so it didn't really seem like that big of a deal to me. As I was there kind of managing the contractors and everything, I like to spend a lot of time in those days on the project. An owner from another fourplex walked up and said, "Hey, I've got these two fourplexes I'm looking at selling. Would you be interested?" And I was like, "Heck yeah." I didn't know how I was going to get it done. just a quick aside, I wound up selling a duplex. Like I said, I evaluated and said, okay, I'll sell this duplex and I'll 1031 the money into this, and it made it happen. But the reason I bring that up as the Keystone deal is, up to that point, everything I was looking at was on market, MLS. It was on auction sites, and I heard of off market deals. I'm like, yeah, that's not going to happen very often. It's not going to happen to me. And that opened my eyes. That off market deal walked up to me and said, hey, buy me. It doesn't get much easier than that. Now, I mean, that wasn't my takeaway, but my takeaway was go find those off-market deals. I mean, look, I just bought one that had 13 offers on it, and then I had a guy that I actually took 3 months to close the deal. He even let me, put a sale of home contingency on it to get the duplex sold so that I could have the money in 1031. Off-market is the way to go, I think, was kind of my takeaway from that. All because I just bought a fourplex on market, which is kind of funny. So, but yeah, that was definitely it.
Yeah, well, what was the seller's motivation to selling it privately to you when, with 13 offers, one would assume like he would just list the property and make some more money?
Easy. For him, it was just easy. There was him and 2 siblings that owned it. They were not necessarily fighting, but they weren't necessarily agreeing on everything. Here's a guy they see close a deal on the street. He knows what he's doing. I'm going to joke and say I think it was my personality that also sold him. But let me also say that I'm not joking in that you have to be able to connect with a seller. You have to, if they got to trust you, and you hear all the time that there are deals, even in 100-unit apartment syndications, they'll go with the guy that they trust and like at a lesser price maybe because it feels good to do. And I can't answer that one for you, but I do think a part of it was, I built a rapport with him, got on the same level with him and met him several times at Starbucks and talked about things and was interested in how I could make this work for him and what his needs were out of this deal, not just my own.
Yeah, no, I think you hit the nail on the head. Having that connection and building that rapport opens up so many different doors that would otherwise be closed if you're a little more abrasive or you're not actually listening to what the seller's telling you.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah.
So, how has real estate impacted your life thus far? Because you were sitting there injured and got sent home from training. You read some books, doing some Four Plexus, and now you're looking at syndication. So, what impact has it had?
Well, a very easy answer to that is, wow, my life is defined by injuries. I got out of the Air Force because of a back injury, actually.
Oh, really?
And so, I mean, at the time, I was doing a little bit of flipping, and it gave me the opportunity to exit the Air Force and not be freaked out. Like, what am I going to do now? Like, I couldn't really fly anymore. That wasn't really an option for me. My degree was in civil engineering, but that was 7, 8 years, 9 years old at that time. So I couldn't really do that. So, the fact that I was essentially forced out of the Air Force, didn't really have a job. I have a job. I had the ability to keep making money for my family. And it's turned out to be a very good job. It's something I love. And then probably the additional piece to that is I have freedom, man. I truly value that freedom. I deployed several times when I was in the Air Force, and the worst part to me about deployments was going over there and not being able to really further myself in the way that I wanted to. I could do some. I could read. I could listen to podcasts, but really getting work done downrange is very difficult. So that was a piece of me, or that was a piece that I really disliked. Real estate gives that to me. I can do what I want when I want it. I have full control. That's huge to me.
Yeah. Well, one of my previous guests said, well, you can run your portfolio from a pub in Ireland if you wanted to.
Shoot, man, you know what? That is very possible, I'm sure. And if he's doing it, there you go. That's proof. Yeah. But I guess for me, that was something that was a challenge to overcome.
Yeah. And looking ahead, a decade from now, where do you see you and your business going?
I would say hopefully the fourplex market hasn't dried up yet, because that's easy money with very little work. But we're already my wife and I are already financially free based on the real estate that we own. I would like to kind of further that passive income to the point where we can not necessarily live extravagantly, but really do the things that we want to do. I put a high price tag on convenience right now. Silly example, but and even a little embarrassed to admit this, but we have a cleaner come to the house and clean the house. Like, it's just something I really don't want to do, and it is convenient for me to not have to clean my own house, so we can pay for that. That's easy. But things like that in the future, as our kids get older, convenience would be flying first class somewhere because my back is not the greatest, and it's nice to have this space, right? That's convenience. I put a high price tag on that. So, having enough passive income to obviously keep us financially free, but really add to that convenience.
Yeah. And does the time spent with your family factor into that as well?
Most definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, I have 2 boys. I love them to death. I love my wife. Hanging out with them at the end of the day is the best part of my day. And to be able to have convenience, bring them along with everything I'm doing. Like, yeah, that is most definitely the biggest reason for all this. That's my why.
Yeah, for sure. And like, I just find people without that strong why always get sidetracked and they fall off the cart. So,
Yeah.
like you said, the why is super important.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
What's your why? I've never heard you mention your why. What's yours?
My why is my son. I want to be able to lead by example and show him what's possible.
Nice.
With what he can do.
How old is he?
He's 2.5.
Okay. I got a 2.5-year-old and I got a 4-month-old. Yeah.
Oh, it's 4 months. Wow. You are very, very busy.
Yeah. Man. Yeah. So okay, let me ask you a quick question if you don't mind.
Sure, yeah.
Let's flip the script here. I ask everybody that's got young kids that's in this kind of real estate business because I'm just curious of their answers. I want my kids to be successful. I want them to grow up and like want to have that drive. But here we are building passive income. We're building generational wealth.
Yeah.
How do you, and I think I have at least a fear that generational wealth is going to take away from their drive, not make them want to. Have you thought about that before? What do you think about that?
Yeah, but funny you mentioned this. This is usually a discussion I ask all my guests with kids, like off air, and because I'm really curious about how they approach it. And I know some of the guests I've interviewed where they are, let's call them like very high successful top performers. That's something they really worry about at night because like they've got a lot of money and their kids are set for life if they wanted to be. Most of them, though, have set, if let's say they get hit by a truck, most of them have set age brackets where, the kids would get so much money at a certain point. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think for me, my why is like, I want to be able to show my son from leading by example, what's possible, not necessarily give it to him, but just show him how to open his mind and open his eyes because, my mind was never exposed to the possibilities of commercial real estate when I was younger. So I think just by being exposed to the different people, because obviously I'm talking with different people now, as he grows up, he'll be privy to those conversations.
Yeah.
I'll just open things up for him that otherwise wouldn't if he was just, in that regular education system where it's like, get a job, save for retirement kind of thing. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but that's kind of where my mind's at right now.
Yeah, it does. I like the one thing I want to give him or them, I should say, the young one's still too new for me to say them. The one thing I want to give them is that entrepreneurial mindset, right? The drive to go out there and get it. I'll give them that. I want them to have that from day one. I don't want to give them money because I'm just fearful that, it will take the other stuff away. So yeah, I don't really have a good answer. My hope is, God, I hope so badly that the two of them, want to join this business, and I'm prepared that if they want to be artists and musicians, they can do it if they want. I just really hope they want to get into real estate or business or something in that vein.
Yeah, well, if they do decide to be artists and musicians, at least the real estate will actually pay for their expenses, so they don't have to work at a restaurant.
That is actually a kind of something I've come to lately is, okay, look, if you don't want to do real estate, at least consider it as a side gig, just one or two, just to, help supplement whatever it is you are doing. If you don't want to make this your full-time job, fine, but at least consider making it a small part of your life.
Yeah. And well, think of it like, I think of it this way, my little guy's 2.5, you got a 4-month-old, 2.5-year-old, you've got a lot of time just to slowly expose them to, what real estate's all about.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
We do have time, but that scares me.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So.
You know what? Like it's, I put a lot of pressure on myself as a father, and it sounds like you do too. So it's, yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's a right way to do it, but
Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah. But good question. Thanks for flipping that around.
Sure. No worries.
That's awesome. So Jeremy, if somebody's looking to reach out, get in touch, learn more about what you're doing, where can they find you?
Yeah, probably the two best ways would be Facebook. I'm on there, Jeremy Porto Real Estate, facebook.com/Jeremy Porto Real Estate, or my website, just www.blueridgeinvestmentpartners.com. It's long, but it works.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Well, just want to say thanks again for taking the time and sharing those great tips with us.
Thanks, Seth. I had a good time. Thank you.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. And to you, our viewers, I wish you well on your journey from purchase to profits. See you next time.